Hi guys, Fireplays here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we're going to be starting up a brand new mini-series, alright guys? So, in today's video, I'm just going to be going over what this new mini-series is and kicking it off, alright guys? So, this mini-series is going to be called an AFL 2021 season review. But before I get into it, I just really want to say I am sorry for not uploading over the past couple of days. I haven't really had a lot of ideas coming into me. This is a very new idea. I'm working on a couple of mega videos, like massive videos right now. So there may be a lack of uploads coming in the next couple of weeks, but I'll still try and get at least 2 a week, like 2 a working week out for you guys. So just expect they could be both out on the same day, or I'll try and make sure they're not out on the same day. I'll try and make sure that they come out like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, something like that. But anyway, let's start going into the AFL 2021 season review. So there'll be episodes of this. I'm going to be starting off by doing rounds 1 to 3, and it'll be covering all the teams. There's just a little bit of a slide of how this will work, so I'll go over that real quick. Alright, so how this will work, there will be episodes in this series. Each episode will contain a review of the AFL rounds. In each episode, I will cover 2 to 5 rounds. The rounds will be shown in the title, so it'll be what you would have seen in the title would have been rounds 1 to 3 in brackets or something like that. Finals will be separate in the one video, so I'll be putting all finals in the one video. I will talk about each game very briefly and then go into the next game of that round. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let this series begin, alright guys? So rounds are going to be over 2 slides as well, just because the amount of images and the amount of text I can put on a slide isn't a lot, so I have to do it over 2 slides. Sorry for that, and let's get started. Alright, so up the top we'll say the round, and the rounds will be over 2 slides. So let's start and kick this series off with Richmond versus Carlton, the first game of the year. Now, I've actually kind of forgotten about these earlier games, but Richmond-Carlton, it was always close. Levi Casbolt kicked the first goal of the season from Carlton. It was close, and then Richmond really blew it away, is what I thought. Pretty much, it was close in some stages. Other parts, Richmond looked like they had it, and Richmond won that one by 25 points, 105 to 80. Collingwood versus Western Bulldogs, the Friday night game, the second game of the season. Collingwood and the Western Bulldogs. This one was interesting. The Dogs, they kind of always had a deep, not a massive lead, but they had a little bit of a lead always on the Pies. And it was reasonably, it was like kind of that in between margin. Treloar didn't do too bad, but the Dogs walking out 53-69, which is 16-point winners. Melbourne versus Fremantle. This game, I saw snippets of it, didn't really watch a lot of it. This game was very interesting. Fremantle, they were very inaccurate. They did a horrible job on goal shooting. Melbourne should have won it by more as well. They were alright, Melbourne. And Melbourne walking out 80-58, so they were walking out 22-point winners. Now on to one of my favourite games of the season, Adelaide versus Geelong. I saw this game. I loved it. Adelaide 103-91 Geelong. Adelaide walking out 12-point winners. Adelaide always held a pretty comfortable lead from over the Cats in the first half. Geelong came back in the second half, but Adelaide did enough just to hold on. I tell you, if that game had gone 5 more minutes, the Cats would have stolen it and completed a massive comeback. But it just was not to be for the I was about to say the Adelaide Cats, for the Geelong Cats that day. On to Saturday night football, Essendon versus Hawthorn. This was a very good game as well. Essendon choked this one pretty badly. Essendon 91, Hawthorn 92. Hawthorn walking out 1-point winners. Essendon had around a 40-point lead at some stage in the game, and Hawthorn came back. Tim O'Brien's magical snap, and that's what won the game for the Hawks. On the next slide. That same night, another upset happened. Brisbane versus Sydney at the Gabba. Brisbane 94, Sydney 125. Sydney walking out 31-point winners in the end. The young stars shining for Sydney. Brisbane never really had control of the game. They controlled it for the first part. And then Sydney really just took over, and they ended up really going out to smash the Brisbane Lions in the end on their own home deck for the Brisbane Lions. That was disappointing. Sunday football now. North Melbourne, Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. North Melbourne 65, Port Adelaide 117. Port Adelaide always had this one in their hands. The first couple of minutes were close enough. North got out to like a goal lead in the first few minutes, and then Port really just dragged it back and ended up walking out 65. North Melbourne 217. Port Adelaide, they walked out comprehensive winners onto GWS versus St Kilda, which was a very good game. This one was always close. And in the end, the Saints just scraping past, walking away. 8-point winners. West Coast versus Gold Coast, very close in some periods, and then West Coast just blew the game open and walked out 83-58. So pretty comprehensive winners in the end after a reasonably close start onto round 2. Alright, so kicking off round 2, we had a massive rivalry between Carlton and Collingwood. Again, not a bad game. Collingwood always, again, really held it, walking out 21-point winners, 85-106. Collingwood were really just good most of that game. Geelong, Brisbane, I'm just going to take a little bit of a moment to talk about this one. Down at GMHBA Stadium, you'd think the Cats would have walked out pretty well. But that should have been the Lions game. The Lions should have won it. Geelong walked out 1-point winners, 81-80. But after that controversial call that saw Zach Bailey tackle Mark Blitzarves, and he did not dispose of it correctly, that should have been a free kick to the Brisbane Lions, but instead the Cats got away with it. They got away with it, and the Cats walked out 1-point winners. Now on to Saturday footy. Sydney versus Adelaide at the SCG. This one was tipped to be very close, and sure it was that in the first, I don't know, say around half, and then again Sydney really just blew the door open and ended up walking out 121-88. So they ended up defeating the Crows by a fair bit. Port Adelaide Essendon at the Adelaide Oval. Razio fans had just shined against his former side. Port Adelaide walking out 109-65. They smashed the Bombers and was sitting pretty with percentage. And then St Kilda Melbourne that Saturday night looked to be a close one, and it was that. It was pretty close for most of the game. St Kilda 73, Melbourne 91. So Melbourne really starting their season strongly with 2 wins in a row. Also that night, Gold Coast smashed the Roos up at Metricon Stadium. The Suns were just so dominant that night. And yeah, they played really good football. And North Melbourne were just left in pieces. On to Sunday footy, Hawthorn, Richmond really just dismantled them. They didn't smash them. But yeah, Hawthorn 49, Richmond 78. It was kind of like a 2020 type game, low scoring-ish. But in the end, Richmond walking out pretty comfortable winners. Marvel Stadium, Western Bulldogs, West Coast. This was actually a really good game, really tight game, really close game. It was always pretty tight. And then 94-93, 30 seconds on the clock. Well, around 40 seconds on the clock. Bonapelli takes his kick straight through the middle, 100-93, and that sealed the game for the Western Bulldogs. And then later that night, Fremantle Dockers defeating the GWS Giants in what was kind of an upset. Fremantle winning 87-56, but they were still inaccurate. Alright guys, on to our final round, this first episode of this. Alright guys, I'll be trying to put out an episode of this weekly, but let's get into it. Round 3. Collingwood versus Brisbane opened up Thursday night football, and this was a really close game as well. Collingwood and Brisbane, they both had their parts where they were in front. They both did a really good job. They both played some pretty good football at some parts. And then Zach Bailey, we all remember that. He kicked it after siren to win the game for the Brisbane Lions. Collingwood lost it. And then you remember the next day, Easter Friday. I mean, not Easter Friday, Good Friday. Sorry, guys. North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. We all know how that panned out. The Dogs dismantled the Roos 39, North Melbourne 167. The Western Bulldogs walking out 128-point winners. The Western Bulldogs. Josh Bruce bagged 10 goals in what was just a day out for the Western Bulldogs. And that night, we had a very opposite game. Adelaide, Gold Coast. This one was very close. Adelaide walking out 10-point winners 95-85, even though the Suns may have kicked, I don't know, was it the first 3 or 4 goals? I'm pretty sure. And they looked in a box seat, but Adelaide came back. I watched all of that game because I'm an Adelaide fan, and it was really good. Now, Richmond, Sydney, MCG, Easter Day, Easter Saturday, whatever we call that. I'm not quite entirely sure, but Richmond's 72, Sydney 117. This shaped as probably one of the biggest upsets as well, and a famous win for the Sydney Swans. That was a shock, but some really good footy by the Sydney Swans. And they just dismantled Richmond. That's where Richmond started to really fade, kind of. Yes, they may have beaten St Kilda a couple of weeks later or a week later, but then they did fade away. And Essendon defeated St Kilda, which really started St Kilda's slump, and Essendon's rise, 143 to 68. What a win it was for Essendon as well. That was a massive win for the Bombers, 143 to 68. They were walking out massive winners. So were Sydney on that Saturday. Alright guys, talking about even more wins on that Saturday, talking about monster wins on that Saturday, West Coast did the same to Port Adelaide in the West, winning 108 to 71. West Coast, they just played really good footy at Optus on that Easter night. They just looked really impressive, and Port Adelaide had no real chance. In fact, Port Adelaide though, they came out and they actually didn't play too bad of footy to make the scoreboard look a little bit more respective in their case. Otherwise, then this could have been a easy 50, 60 point win for West Coast, but instead it was just a 37 point win, which is still a lot though. And talking about even more smashings, we have Carlton versus Freeman on the Sunday. Carlton 109, Freo 64. It was just Carlton's day. GWS, Melbourne, Monaco Oval not used a lot. GWS 68, Melbourne 102, Melbourne 3-0. An epic streak for them, doing a really good job. Melbourne sitting nice and pretty on the ladder. And Easter Monday, what a classic it was. Geelong 69, Hawthorn 64. Geelong got the better of Hawthorn, even though a late scare came. Alright guys, so I'm going to be planning to try and upload these once a week. Hopefully, maybe even twice a week. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this first episode. Let me know in the comments section if there's anything that you'd like me to do to make these videos any better. If you've got any video ideas. If you have a suggested day that you'd like me to put these out. Anything that you want me to know. Or if you just want to put your thoughts on this. If you thought that I did something wrong or something, that's okay as well. But please just don't give me any hate. This is just my opinion on the games. But this is also some fact as well. This is fact and opinion, kind of, both of them. But yes, I do hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys will notified when more videos come out. That's it from me now guys. So bye guys. Fire plays out.